Hey everybody, Dark Remaker here. Today's story is the continuation off of the Sight Watchers. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, I'd recommend you go watch that video before continuing with this one. So, without further ado, let's start reading. And remember, I'm always open for your opinions and thoughts on what I should fix on my channel, and if my reading should be slower, anything like that. Anyway, let's begin. After my first week of training, I realized just how weird this company really is. I was doing papers that Jerry had given me to practice for the real upcoming papers, I guess. As I did my work, I heard a small, silent creak outside my door. I stopped what I was doing and stared at the door. Once my attention was off my work, I realized just how quiet the building really was. No people talking, no footsteps, nothing but silence. I decided it was my mind playing tricks on me, and I began working again, until I heard the same small creak outside my door once more. I shot my head up to once again be staring at the door. I wanted to go open it, but I felt as if gravity held me firm to my chair. My heart started to pound, and cold sweat began to cover me. Why am I so scared? I yelled inside my mind. Like magic, I snapped out my fear and got up from my chair. I walked to the door, and as I gripped the handle to turn it, I froze. My hand was stuck in place. I felt as if the walls were closing in. Fear struck my heart, the cold sweat now overpowering my body. And in a brief twist of the handle, the door opened. Nothing. Just a long, empty hallway lay before me. What the hell? I said softly under my deep, heavy breathing. The fear that was once there, now gone, as if it had never been present. The shakiness in my body finished, and before I knew it, I was back to normal. I closed my door and walked back to my desk. I sat down in my chair and looked up at the ceiling. I'm losing my mind, I said in my head, wondering if it was real or not. I started to work again, trying to forget what had just happened. This is one of the many weird things that happened to me on my first week. Well, that was part 3. Pretty short, I know, which is why I actually have an add-on for it. Now, I really enjoyed how I did part 3, so I wanted to make an add-on for it. Anyway, just thought I should let you guys know that, but enjoy. I wanted to share yet another odd thing that happened to me. This was 2 days after what I had just encountered. After a long day of work, I looked at the time to see it was now 6 p.m. It was almost time for me to leave. I sighed and got up from my chair and walked out of my office to use the restroom. Now, the restroom was 3 doors down from my office. As I walked past the first 2 doors, I heard a strange, but yet faint noise come from one of the doors behind me. I stopped and listened. There it was again. I walked to the second door and listened once more. I jumped as I heard a loud bang go against the door. Just for a few seconds I was stuck in a state of fear, but as soon as I got in it, I was out of it. Replaced by the fear that someone could be endangered, I quickly went to the door and opened it. Oh God! I fell back against the wall, still staring into the room. There stood a 6-foot man standing in the darkness, staring at me like I was a strange creature. His blue eyes shimmered through the darkness and met with mine. The eyes did not blink, nor did they move. The figure just stood there staring at me. Adrenaline kicked in and I hightailed it back to my office. As I ran in, I turned around to shut the door, and that's when I saw the figure once more. The hall lights flickered, the figure still pitch black, even in the light of the hall. It was as if all the light that was meant to be shining on him was consumed by an endless void of darkness. I shut the door and ran to my desk and crouched down to get under it. I sat there, listening. Nothing but silence. The lights flickered in the room, eyes glued to the door. I watched as I saw the knob of the door start to shake. The light flickered once more. I kept staring. And then the lights went out. Starting to tremble, I kept staring at the door. The silence was broke to my door being thrown open and hitting against the wall. There stood the figure with his godforsaken blue eyes shimmering in the darkness like a dim flashlight about to die out. I'm shaking uncontrollably. My breathing gets heavy. My eyes start to doze off, and before I knew it, I had passed out. I awoke to Jerry standing over me. "Hey kid, you alright?" I shot up and saw that the lights were back on. I quickly got up, ignoring Jerry's questions, and headed to the door where I had seen the figure. It was empty, just a desk with some papers on it. Ha! What the hell? No. What the fuck? I said under my breath. I turned to see Jerry hanging to me. I walked up to him. "What the fuck is going on in this place, Jerry?" I said in an angry, shaking voice. He looked into my eyes with his dark, voidless eyes. "I'm assuming you met Jake," he said in a calm voice. "Who the fuck is that?" I said, still filled with rage. "Look, I'll tell you everything, but I'm going to need you to go home, and tomorrow I'll tell you whatever you want to know." My anger soon started to drown to the fact that what had just happened was real. Alright, I said, feeling defeated. I went and grabbed my stuff and headed home. Well guys, that was part 3. Now we're going to jump into part 4. Hope you like it, cause it just gets stranger and stranger. By the way, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Which part is your favorite? Well, let's start reading. As I drove to work, I thought about the figure I saw and could not get the image of those blue eyes out of my head. I kept thinking between what Jerry said and the creature. I even started to question my own sanity. Lost in thought, I had not realized how fast I had gotten to work. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why? Why are you going back after the horrors you've seen? Simple. I want answers. I got out of my car and headed through the door. As I walked in, I was surprised to see that Jerry was sitting there, waiting for me. "Hey," he said calmly. "Hey," I replied back. "Still want answers?" "Yes," I replied firmly. "Alright, follow me," he said while walking towards the door he had told me not to go in. I followed him up to the door. He stood there and looked over at me. "Are you sure you can handle the truth behind Jake?" he asked in an almost unsettling tone. "Yes," I said firmly again. He then reached into his pocket and pulled out a silver key. He put it in the lock, and with one click, the door slowly creaked open. Once it fully opened, I tried to see through the thick blackness that covered the room. I kept trying to see in. I looked over to see that Jerry had gotten a lantern I had not noticed hanging by the door. He twisted the knob, and the light started to illuminate the dark room. Jerry stepped in and started to walk. I followed close behind. "This company was originally made to protect the creatures of this world." "You mean animals?" I asked in a confusing tone. "No. The creatures we protect are the ones lost in time and history. They're not something that a normal human mind can comprehend. These creatures have roamed the earth for many years. They're the ones you feel watching you. They're what strikes fear into your heart. Hell, they are fear." Captured by his story, I did not realize how far we were inside the room. The once lit door has now been consumed by the darkness. I turned my attention to Jerry once more. "Jake is one of those things," He's the one that made our minds be able to comprehend the creatures, what they do, and how they act. Well, if they're so secretive of their existence, then why is Jake exposing them? We too have no understanding of what Jake's intentions really are. The only person that knows this question is Larry. We finally reached a table in the room. He set the lantern down and reached his hand over to press a small red button. Only a second after he pressed it, the whole room lit up with screens. The darkness that was once surrounding us was rectified, and my eyes, used to the dark, were blinded for a brief moment. Once my eyes adjusted, I looked and saw there were 6 TV screens. I looked at each screen and saw they had different things on them. One had a man walking down the street, while another showed a woman in a house watching TV. "What is all this?" I asked. "This is how we monitor our staff, each one capable of seeing the figure. They travel around and study the creatures." "So everyone on the screens can see those things?" "Yes," Jerry said in a quiet voice. "Now, even though you understand very little of these creatures, are you still willing to work for this company and study them?" he said, staring into my eyes. I just stood there, trying to gather all the information I'd just gotten. My mind told me to leave, but yet I felt compelled to the creatures, and my mind fought against a strong force telling me to say yes. "Well?" Jerry asked. Just then, I looked into one of the corners of the room. There stood Jake, his blue eyes connected with mine, and at that moment, I said, yes. Well guys, that's it for the Sight Watchers part 3 and 4. Now please, again, don't forget to leave down in the comment section if you think I should fix anything or just do anything different. Anyway, if you guys want part 5 and 6 to come out faster, well, you know what to do. Subscribe and like. Anyway, I'll see you all on another day.